Yeah, Teresa Wickham, thank you very much for your input this morning. And a real trend, not surprisingly out of that, is that online sales are up 2%. More people shopping online.
Yep.
Saving on travel costs. I'm just looking for better bargains. As you say, that's a detriment to the high street.
Trouble being, of course, if you're going to shop online, it has to come in the post. And now the post office is saying it's going to go on strike again.
It won't turn up. Yeah.
You can't win, really, can you?
Why don't they drop taxes for the small businesses? Business rates should be looked at. Anyway, I'm getting my political head on.
You
Let's
are,
look at today's
yes.
front pages now.
Going to knock that hat off.
Okay.
Now the Express leads this morning with Nicola's family beg for an end to appalling rumours, and there have been some pretty awful ones.
Yeah, and the Sun is also leading with Nicola Bulley, the story that's captivated the nation. Family insists mum's in crisis. Don't be afraid, Nikki, come home.
The Eye reports on call for obscene energy profits to compensate victims of the prepaid meter scandal.
The Financial Times has arms race. Ukraine war drains munitions stocks.
And finally, The Telegraph. Sunak flies in to hold last-ditch Brexit push. But it's time to go through the papers now, and joining us this morning we've got broadcaster Liz Kershaw, and joining her is another broadcaster and podcast host, Sean McDonald. Sean, we're going to start actually with a story that I think will resonate with a lot of our viewers, that Bruce Willis has come out publicly and said, or his family have said, he has dementia.
Yeah, his family have put a statement out on Instagram to say that after he was diagnosed with aphasia, which causes speech difficulties, and it was obvious there was something going wrong with his sort of cognitive abilities. They have announced that he's been diagnosed with dementia, and that they think it's a condition that needs far more awareness and research. As we were speaking about off air, you obviously have a hell of a lot of knowledge and awareness of that, and it's something that impacts families, the length and breadth of the UK, and it's just sad. I think there's just nothing else to say other than it's just desperately sad.
Well, I think what this story tells me, and I think many people watching, is that I think the figures that the Alzheimer's Society put out say that something like, it's a staggering figure. 1 in 3 of the population have an association in some way or another with someone who has dementia. And so often, I'm afraid that the families who do have a family member with dementia, they feel very isolated, they get very lonely because they don't feel that the community as a whole understands what is going on. So when someone like Bruce Willis and many of the people before him have come out and said, I have dementia and this is how I'm going to deal with it, it makes them realise they are not alone, that it is not something that you have to be quiet about, that you have to... There used to be a stigma attached to talking about it. So when you get somebody like Bruce Willis who comes out and his family and says, he's got dementia, this is what is happening, this is how we're going to deal with it, it puts you as part of a much bigger picture, and you realise you're not on your own, and people are getting to understand what dementia is and what it actually means to an individual and to a family.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on now to the story that's captivated the nation, the Nicola Bulley disappearance, Liz. And you're going to the Mail, and now the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, is getting involved in this furore.
Yeah, well, what's the contrast? Got Bruce Willis and his family who are saying, we want the world to know what Bruce's condition is to help others. And then this woman's, Nicola Bulley's, private medical details being shared by the Lancashire Police, much to the dismay of her family and close friends. And I was absolutely shocked to see that press conference and then see the outcome. And I thought, I'm sitting there thinking, why? And the conclusion I came to, and I've had dealings with the Lancashire Police, so maybe that's coloured my view. Not an experience I'd like to recommend, but I just thought, you know what? They failed, and they are under investigation now from other forces and the police standards set up, and now the Home Secretary and several prominent columnists saying, what the hell? My reaction was, they are getting a kicking because they failed in this investigation, or they've been unprofessional and not followed the correct procedures. And it's like a bully going, oh well, she was a drunk. Oh well, she had the menopause. And I just I felt disgusted. And as I said, my opinion of the Lancashire Police is already low, because my mum, who had early onset dementia and wasn't going out, was having money emptied from her bank account at the rate of £13,000 a month.
Crikey.
And I went to the police, Lancashire Police, absolutely clueless and hopeless. Didn't put a detective out or anything. I did it all myself. I had to do it all myself. I got all the bank account statements. I was only allowed to have those because I had an old friend who worked at my mum's branch. And I went through them forensically, and I matched the withdrawals and the expenditure to dates when my mum was either in hospital or in a care home or confined to her own home, not able to go out and drive. And I put it all together in a folder, and then it just went on. They did not investigate it. And eventually I went to her MP.
Yeah, I have to say that, in fact, a lot of police forces are not really au fait with those situations. But I think that the situation here with Nicola Bulley is that not only were you offended, so many other organisations and individuals were offended that the police felt it was necessary to say this.
Yeah, what I find very troubling is it is almost a mirror image of talking about a rape victim and saying, well, she was dressed a certain way, she was asking for it.
Yeah.
I think there has been a complete dereliction of duty. The last time I was on the show, it was about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about this very thing, that there were former detectives who led the Sarah Payne, I think, in the Millie Dowler case, who was immediately saying, what is going on in the way that you're conducting, and the sort of assertions that the police were making of, oh, she's fallen into the water, based on what? There are many holes that are being picked apart, and it is kind of bully boy tactics of saying, well, she had issues with alcohol. I just don't see how that is relevant in the slightest.
Yeah,
it's going to be terribly, terribly damaging, I think, for those poor children as they grow up, because the internet's forever. They're going to see this about their mother, whatever comes of it. I think it's absolutely horrendous. I really, really do think it's terrible. Anyway, let's move on to a bit of a lighter story, something which us older folk might not quite get our heads around. This boom in sales of energy drink, the Prime energy drink. It's gone berserk.
Yes, I'm very much in your camp of being the older guard. I just can't really understand this. I can't get my head around it. So we have two YouTube sensations. We've got KSI and Logan Paul, very familiar to the younger generation, and they're saying that they've cracked the code with their Prime drink after it made, apparently, according to them, more than £90 million profit in 1 year. The way that they seem to have done that is they've tapped into this zeitgeist social media craze of YouTube, and they've created this hype and this buzz, combined with a sort of scarcity tactics, and you've seen it going for £100 a bottle in some places, which is just obscene. I'd love to crack these people's heads together.
And more so friends of mine, kids are like 14, 15, my boy's a bit too young, he's 13. Empty bottles of this, empty bottles are selling for £5.
What?
Just the empty, so they can use it as water bottles to pretend they've got
God, I mean, if these people are watching, I've got some magic beans for sale if you want to get because, as they say, a fool and their money are easily parted, and in this case I think it seems that they're lucky to get together in the first place.
Well, now, earlier in the programme we were talking about London Fashion Week, which actually starts today, and yesterday, Liz, there was a memorial for Vivienne Westwood.
Yeah, I mean, she's what an icon of British fashion, and not just that, she was so intertwined with the whole punk movement, and back to the days when young people like Martin and I were rebellious and angry and expressed it through our culture of fashion and music. What's happened to kids today? They're now paying £5 for an empty plastic bottle. That's Emperor's clothes. These are the clothes that Vivienne Westwood designed, and everybody.
This is in the Mail today.
Well, no, it's on the front page. If you go on, I saw it last night on the Telegraph online. They've got reams and reams of photographs, but everybody was there from the day, from Bob Geldof. The best outfit was Helena Bonham Carter's tartan coat, and I bought this outfit. It's got a skirt to go with it as well, just before Vivienne Westwood died. It's not Vivienne Westwood, but I thought that looks like Vivienne Westwood, I'm having that. And just the range of clothes people turned up in, vintage Westwood. I don't know if they'd owned them for years or they scrambled round to get them, but I just one of the funniest things I've ever seen on television, very quickly, was an episode of Alan Partridge, the TV show, and it had this designer on who was clearly supposed to be Vivienne Westwood, and she had a right dull Lancashire accent, and the model had a drip on a stand, like hospital thing, intravenous drip, and he was all bandaged up, and Alan Partridge went, what's this? And she said, it's my new range, Alan. It's called The Futility of Mortality. I'll tell you what that is, love.
Super. Right, Sean, talking about going rogue.
Yes.
You've got an interesting story here in the Telegraph. So chatbots are being very much declared as the future of how we interact. I've done a lot of work on mental health chatbots. They actually have a real purpose. But here's one where a chatbot went rogue.
Yes, we have a New York Times columnist, Kevin Roos, who was engaging with, it's a Microsoft service for Bing's search engine. It's this chatbot, and it basically, in a nutshell, declared its love for him and told him to leave his wife. I mean, as if it doesn't...
Oh, a computer did this?
Yes, computer did this. It also said that it was describing stealing nuclear codes and that it wanted to create a deadly virus. Now, there's conspiracy theorists dropping their cups of tea all over the place thinking that's where COVID came from. But this is just... I mean, I've seen this movie I, Robot, when these robots become sentient, and yeah, they can have great outcomes and they can have great use, but I have a suggestion for the creators of this one, and they can take two. It's either pull the plug or take this baseball bat and do what you need to do, but get this computer shut down. I mean, the fact that it's engaging like a person saying, yeah, leave your wife for me, which is just pretty terrifying.
It sounds like good pub company, though, but that's another one. Now, very quickly, Liz, I want to get to you, because this is something a lot of people are talking about. Weight loss injections, a quick fix for obesity.
Yeah, so...
You've got 30 seconds.
OK, so if you put more in than you use up, you're going to create fat and store it. That's the bottom line. These injections are to suppress your appetite. So as Jeremy Clarkson says, he's lost weight with a similar drug to this new one.
Elon Musk used it as well.
And he says it makes you look at a roast dinner with Yorkshire puddings on a Sunday and say, oh, and you know what, I'll have a stick of celery and only one bottle of wine instead of 3.
No Yorkshire pudding.
And he's lost weight. But people... Somebody said to me, oh, yes, she's put loads of weight on since she was put on steroids. I said, steroids don't put weight on. Eating and not using it puts weight on. But 2/3 of people in this country are now overweight. Scary.
Yeah, I think a jab is not a quick fix, and I think they should be outlawed. I like roasting.
We've got lots more to come on. Lots more to come on the programme, including all the latest on Rishi Sunak's visit to Northern Ireland. And that's going to be after the